Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 2 of Ted Lasso. And this is arguably the best show on television. This gets me every time. The episodes are getting longer, the characters are getting more depth, and I'm enjoying it every episode that comes along. And the first season was such a breath of fresh air, and I thought it was such an interesting idea, and I thought, okay, this is a lot of fun. It'll be interesting where the show goes. And the show takes it up a notch. And, doesn't just focus on Ted as much. You still have Ted Lasso, obviously, and Jason Sudeikis is amazing. And Sudeikis brings some more depth into this season. There's some much darker emotional moments for Ted Lasso in this season. And the journey that he goes on with the new therapist character that gets brought in, who is such a great addition to the show. I loved her in this season, and their dynamic is one of the most interesting things going on in the show at this point. And what they're able to do in terms of trying to build up this idea of dealing with mental illness and anxiety, and Ted's dealing with a bunch of anxiety attacks and stuff like that throughout this season, and him with his hesitation to utilize therapy as a way of dealing with those things is interesting. And you have Sarah Niles, who plays this therapist, and she's a great addition to this season. She brings a different dynamic because Ted's outwardly always energetic, and he gets manic when he's nervous and not processing things well, and she's a great foil to that. And they build an interesting and sweet relationship together throughout the season, and it starts off with an interesting conflict between the two of them, and how that grows throughout the season I really appreciated. And you definitely have some fun moments still too, like Led Tasso, and that whole Christmas episode with Ted and Rebecca going out and doing their thing, because Ted's sad because dealing with being divorced now and his not being able to see his son as much. You have Brett Goldstein, who is still the MVP of this show, as Roy Kent, who gets a lot more depth in his relationship with Keeley, played by Juno Temple, who also gets a lot of great moments throughout this season of her trying to grow into her own and become a real professional. And Roy is trying to figure out what to do with his post-playing life, but also dealing with being a good role model for his niece and trying to be a good boyfriend and an more open human being, and making a better connection with Keeley along the way. You have Brendan Hunt, Coach Beard, who's always got Ted's back, and I appreciate his loyalty that they show in this season. And you get a whole entire episode of just Coach Beard out on the town one night, and it's such a weird episode, but it was a blast. I really enjoyed it. It was one of the more interesting episodes of this season. Probably the most controversial character is going to be Nate. Nick Mohammed's character goes in some... You get to see him grow a lot in this season. You also get to see a much darker and more selfish side of Nate in this season, and where the season leaves him and where it opens up for next season. I'm very excited because it brings up a whole interesting new dimensions of conflict, because, Nate's the one that knows this kind of football. Ted doesn't, and there's a conflict there. And you have Rebecca, who's dating throughout this season and trying to find love. And after last season, as she turns into a more likable character, she is an empathetic character now, and you feel for her and her challenges that she's going through. And they do some interesting things with Sam, Toheed, Jimoh, who really gets to shine in this season, whether it's his trying to use his voice as an athlete or his own love life and his own conflicts. And even Jamie and Higgins both go on some interesting arcs here, and Isaac, who becomes captain of the team. And there's so much going on, and, Danny Christopher Hernandez is still fantastic, gets to have his moments. There's so much fun in this season. There's so much depth in this season. This is a really quality series that I feel like hits on so many great things, It's still an amazingly feel-good show, but there's a lot more depth and emotion that you dive into and different challenges. And I just love it. I love every moment of the show. From start to finish, this season was fantastic for me. I loved how they took each of the characters and challenged them and put them into new uncomfortable situations, and how this has become an interesting ensemble and not just Ted, with some supporting characters thrown around there as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what more this show can bring to the table. It's all about the characters, it's all about the humor, and you have those strong emotional moments of watching them on the football field and doing their thing, and where this season leaves them opens things up for a very interesting third and what sounds like final season of Ted Lasso. So bring it on, Apple TV Plus. You got my attention. But those are my thoughts on Season 2 of Ted Lasso. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.